Hello everyone, my name is Thomas and welcome to Cinema Sitdown. Today we're going to be talking about the documentary movie King of Kong. And welcome back. As stated before, my name is Thomas Delzite, and then going down the line we have
Ben Avery.
I'm Leilani.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Icarus.
So today I wanted to talk about the movie we just watched, King of Kong, a documentary about the rivalry between two very competitive individuals in the world of competitive video games. I just wanted to ask if any of you had any experience in not just playing a game like that, but any knowledge of that world of world records in video games.
I hear world record, don't quote me on this, but rumor has it, I heard breaking a world record of anything is extremely difficult.
I'd believe that.
Don't quote me on that though. I've just heard that rumor.
I think the closest thing that I've ever come to playing Donkey Kong is Super Mario Brothers, like the actual, the old school Super Mario Brothers. But as far as Donkey Kong, I haven't played it at all.
Yeah, I've played the original Mario Brothers, I believe on the SNES. That's pretty much the extent of my knowledge. I'm not good at it. I've played it maybe 20 times in my life. Not good at it. I can't even fathom sitting there for 2.5 hours and trying to get a world record in a game. Not quite the same, but very similar in era, I guess.
Yeah, my grandma, when I was a lot younger, she got one of those, I guess, NES. I don't know what the machines are called, all of them, but one of those ones that you put the little cartridges in. And I think she had Donkey Kong. She also had Sonic, and I played that one a little bit. But she liked Donkey Kong, but I never saw the appeal to it. My grandma was definitely not setting world records either. No offense, Grandma.
Not quite Doris. Doris,
No.
What was her last name? Doris. Was it Shelf? Self? Something like
Self.
that. Doris
No.
Self. Rest in peace, Doris Self.
Yeah.
So what kind of games do you play then?
What kind of games do I play?
Yeah.
Well, not classic NES style games. I play like computer video games, and I got a speed run in Minecraft. I beat that in 4 hours. I'm coming for the world record. I'm really close. I'm right there, only like 3,000.
Is there actually a world record for Minecraft?
Oh yeah, for Minecraft
it's like
speed
10
runs.
seconds.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's insane.
It's ridiculous, but I'm really close there with my 4 hours. So yeah.
You know, I play Madden and I like to pretend and think I can break a world record in Madden. Because the highest amounts of points I scored in Madden, a Madden game, was like 230 points.
Dang, that is a lot, especially for, I assume, football.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
See,
Madden NFL.
I'm not a big gamer at all, but if I had to choose a game that I would have to try to attempt a world record, it would be Super Mario.
I feel like the more classic the game, probably the
Yeah.
easier it would be.
Probably.
So I wanted to take the conversation to what is, generally speaking, I think, the antagonist of this film, Billy Mitchell, who is, it reminds me very much, I forget the character's name, but the bad guy from Dodgeball, played by, I think it's Ben Stiller, the whatever the Cobras, I can't remember the whole thing that they do, but he reminds me a lot of him in just his energy. And watching this movie, I was like, I cannot believe that this is a real person who's actually doing these very devious things.
No, I agree with you. I showed up a little late, and so I was a little late introduced to him. But as they were going through him, he feels like stereotypical movie villain archetype, and I'm like, he's a real person.
Yeah.
He's just doing these things. He's not.
the way that he presents himself, it's like he's a antagonist in a movie where you have the little guy and then the big corporation who's trying to shut him down, make sure they don't get their way, and just all these like little tiny details of things. It's like, how could you possibly think? Like, he had this tape for who knows how long, which was very sketchy, I may add, with the glitch specifically over the left half with the score. I don't trust that personally.
You want to go?
I'm just saying that it's rather convenient that little glitch is there.
Yeah, over the left side of the screen.
Over the left
It's
side,
only on
where
the
the
left
score
side.
just so happens to be.
And that just so happens to go up every time it glitches. But not like a small amount either. Granted, I've never really played Donkey Kong all that much. I don't know how intense the score goes up by, but still, it's very, very sketchy to me.
You know, I was wondering why he's not coming out for any social events till his parents told us he likes to surprise everyone. So made me think he might say he's not coming, but he comes so he can surprise everyone.
But he didn't really come to any of the events, though.
The most that he did was he showed up on day 3 out of 4 of Steve Wiebe versus Billy Mitchell. Steve Wiebe had a 4-day competition in which he was offered the ability to take his high score from Billy Mitchell once again. And in that, he was very stressed out, obviously, because you only have 4 days to beat this competition you've been practicing for, I think, a couple of years in order to get. And for on the third day, the night of the third day, you only have maybe a couple of attempts left in the entire competition. To have your rival show up, not talk to you whatsoever, stand basically over your shoulder, and then tell his wife that he's with, and go, some people I just don't want to talk to. And then walk away, and then just stand like 15 feet. It's like if you were standing back in the back of the studio and just watching this broadcast happen, and going, yeah, I know that I was asked to be a guest star on this, but the most I can do is show up and then not appear for the main event.
Well,
Ridiculous.
He also tried to make the point where he's like, oh, you're like not worthy of the swords, like if you don't show up when you need to show up, or just like being there to do it even like publicly. And then he comes and he sends in a tape, very suspiciously by the way,
But he never showed up.
He only showed up in the end, and that's the point though.
Exactly.
Because he kept saying, oh, well, you need to show up for these things. Dude didn't want to come.
It was. I think that it was purely intimidation. It was just saying, I'm here, I am going to be right over your shoulder, and I'm not even going to pay you the time of day because you don't matter to me, because I know that you will lose.
But he did it so obviously that you know that he cared, and he doesn't want to lose, so he's like, I'm just going to stay out of it, keep my place where it is.
No, it is 100% a man who is a coward and afraid to lose his title, doing his best to appear like he's not, for lack of better terms, about to pee himself because he's about to lose his record. And had lost his record twice, I believe, at that point. And then both times they finagled some way to get that de-evaluated, whatever the system is, disqualified. That's the word I'll use.
But was there ever a time when Billy Mitchell like actually went and played in public?
There was that was the setup of the documentary is talking about, I forget what year, but there was a Life magazine competition in which they had the top, let's say it said 12 or 13 Donkey Kong players at the time, and invited them all and had this large event. So it was at that location, I believe, that he set his world record that was held for over 25 years.
So wasn't it Billy Mitchell that said that that it's not valid because Steve sent in a tape, right?
It was not that he sent in a tape. It was that it partly was. He sent in a tape to the world record, or not the world record, but to Twin Galaxies is the name of the company that basically validated all of these scores. And he sent in a tape, but they went to investigate the machine just to make sure, because when you finally beat the world record for something that hasn't been beaten in almost 30 years, you want to make sure that it's legitimate. So they show up to make sure that it is legitimate, and then you find a package that just so happens to be associated with Billy Mitchell's rival. And I think it was that and that alone, that minor association, whether that was actually an illegitimate card, basically the computer that the game was stored on, that he had to replace in his machine, whether that was actually illegitimate or not, just the fact that he was associated with him made it so that everyone associated and was a fan of Billy Mitchell would not respect Steve Wiebe.
But they also came in and did all that without his permission.
Yeah,
so how much of it's
There's
really
like
legit?
so many layers to it. It's and they were all just around this Billy Mitchell guy, and He's just running the show for this whole thing, like, and all of them are, oh, his tape was messed up in that side screen where he hit the over 1 million points.
But it's just the copy, though.
Yeah,
the master
and,
must
like,
not
just
be like that.
move past it, but then every time, like, Steve Wiebe tried to set a record, he had to jump through hoops, and that's just so interesting that it's over this Donkey Kong game.
The thing that surprised me most was how, what was his name? The referee, I'm blanking on it now. I had it down.
Walter Day.
Walter Day. How he was so supportive of Steve Wiebe the entire time, and yet he was so quick to abandon this new record that he had just set. He watched him set this record for 987,000, give or take, and knew that he did it legitimately. He did it in a sanctioned environment. Everything was done legitimately, and gets this sketchy copy from the guy who's had it from 25 years, is having doubts about it. It even says in the movie, 10 minutes later, he's on the phone and he goes, "Yeah, I think that's pretty legitimate, if you ask me."
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, they just switch up so fast on Steve, but
makes me wonder, do you think he's
why?
got dirt on him? Do you think that secretly Billy Mitchell is the Donkey Kong godfather?
What does that mean?
He's running things behind the scenes.
He's definitely running things behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's just like,
he is controlling all of these environments, and he's doing absolutely everything he can to keep people quiet.
we need like a clip of the little girl in the car saying, "What? I didn't realize world records were so important." Just to like anything that Billy Mitchell does.
The one
Like,
thing I
why
will
are
say,
they so deep
I
for
find
this
it
world
very
record?
hard to believe that this little girl said this completely unscripted of her just
Oh,
randomly saying.
yeah.
And some people destroy their lives to get these world records.
It seems a little like
That's such a not
poised.
8-year-old girl thing to say. It's just to me. I was like, okay, I think this was a Fed line. But
2
well,
points.
whatever.
Did you like that where I think Billy Mitchell was so close to world record, but his son said, "Oh, Daddy, help me, Daddy." Then he said, "Bring a roll of toilet paper over here and I'll help you out." Do you remember what part I'm talking about?
No, I understand that. The context for that is while Steve Wiebe is recording a video of a world record attempt and getting pretty far for the time that he was playing it, his son was coming down the stairs asking for help to, as he phrased it, wipe his bottom. And Steve Wiebe basically just said, "Bring some toilet paper, I'll help." But like, I understand that pain because I've been in the middle of doing something and had someone like, "I need your help right now." It's like, you don't understand. What I'm doing is important. I know you don't understand. It's not your fault that you don't understand. But what I'm doing is very important, and it's important that I'm doing it right now. And then it's like, come help me to carry groceries and come help mow the yards. Things like that. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a menial task. It's not like out of the question for someone
But
to
I
ask
wouldn't say
that.
that it's a menial task for his child.
That's
with
also
a,
very true.
With a covered bottom.
Very, very good
Don't
use of
elaborate.
walking
And-
around the words there, Brian. No, I can't say I disagree in that. I think that is 100% a reasonable request. If your kid's sitting there, this is a little bit more extreme in my opinion, but if your kid's sitting there saying, feed me, stop playing Donkey Kong, it's a little bit hard to then go, "Not now, Jimmy. I've got work to do. I'm this close. Give me an hour and I'll feed you."
And my other take is, since his game glitched at, like when the score went up, since it's glitched on the left, that makes me question, was it a real record? Because maybe it's just glitching so it can be positive for his regard.
And that's something that I don't know if maybe might have been something that I missed, something that I'm not sure if the documentary went more in depth with, of them actually exploring whether or not it was fake. But I think that they intentionally, for the sake of this documentary, they left it very ambiguous.
Yeah, they were trying to discover if it was fake or not.
But they were wanting 100%, as any filmmaker should, they're wanting the viewer to feel a very certain way about the set antagonist. And in this case, there was the section, the first time Steve Wiebe comes out to, is it Fun Time?
Yes, which is, by the way, I believe it's in New Hampshire. I was looking it up.
Okay.
I was looking it up also. They said it was in Orlando.
So the first time that he comes out to Fun Time and actually does the record in person, and they're all sitting around watching him, gets very impressed. And then there's this guy who I don't remember his name in the slightest. I just refer to him as the Weasel Man because he is like, I've never seen someone who would better be described as a weaselly individual, just going around and being like, hey Billy, you're not gonna believe what this guy's doing.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to sabotage.
Okay, I do know what you're talking about now.
And he's like,
okay.
Hey everyone, just letting you know there's a kill screen coming up in Donkey Kong soon. Come stand behind this man and breathe down his neck to make sure that he doesn't get it, because I want it. And then like at the end, it's like, yeah, he still hasn't gotten it. It's been like 2 years, no chance.
They gave him the role of like the villain's henchman,
Yeah.
and that's like another interesting element to it because it's a documentary, so there's like some element of where you're like hoping that it's true. It's not like misconstrued, but it's definitely pointed in a way so that it makes Steve Wiebe look like the protagonist and Billy Mitchell as the antagonist. And so that's another interesting layer to this whole thing. Like, this is told from Steve's point of view, and so like, do we need to consider that as well? Like, is there maybe a little bit of exaggeration on, because Billy Mitchell just seemed like an awful guy. Like, he seemed terrible.
I was gonna say something, but I forgot what that was.
I think that part of that does come down to the final say in the filmmaker, because I've seen documentaries before do something very similar to that. One that comes to mind is Exit Through the Gift Shop. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it.
We actually did a cinema sit down.
Oh, really? That works out well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so that scroll back up on our page, on our YouTube page there, and you can watch that. Cinema sit down.
So yeah, in that film, you have the way that it's set out is, this is going to be about this huge art vandal guy who's been doing this for years, super secretive. No one's ever let him film him before because he didn't trust that they wouldn't immediately go to the police because he was that famous and it would be that lucrative to have him be caught. And then about an hour and 45 minutes into what I think is about a 2-hour-long documentary, it goes, oh no, this isn't about him at all. It's following what was clearly set up to be the protagonist and then flipping it on him. Where it's like, no, this is now about the guy who was originally making this documentary because he's taken the power that was given to him by this association and he's completely made it meaningless. So I think that it has some of that element where you have your clear antagonist, you have your clear protagonist, and when they set up in the beginning, they're like, oh yeah, this is Billy Mitchell. He's great at Donkey Kong. He's super good. No one's ever beat him. I go, okay, he's the guy to beat. Because you want that underdog story and build it up like that, which is why documentaries like Exit Through the Gift Shop can flip that because you're not expecting it. You go, oh well, this is the antagonist. Clearly, it's the big bad guy that he's trying to get in touch with the entire time. And then the second he actually does get in contact with him, it goes a lot smoother than you expect, and then it completely turns around.
Speaking of Exit Through the Gift Shop and other cinema sit-downs that we did, I feel like this gave real Bob Ross Inc. Happy Accidents vibes. Like, wouldn't you agree? I mean,
Where
I
are
think
these
so.
happy accidents?
Well, okay, so we did a cinema sit down.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right, we did a cinema sit down last semester that was Bob Ross Inc. Happy Accidents, and it was basically just how Bob Ross Inc. was screwing over Bob Ross's family. And so I really think that this documentary of screwing over Steve, it's throwing the same kind of vibes.
It has the same undertone that I feel like all three of the movies that we've talked about have had. Of you have your underdog, and you, through the eyes of the filmmaker, are shown the underdog in a very good light and the big guy in a very bad light, and then over the course of it you can make your own decision, but a lot of time it's very biased. So on that note, I hope that you are able to make your own opinion, go watch all of these movies and form your own opinion, and then come back and watch and see if we're just rambling and have any idea what we're actually talking about. My name's Thomas, thank you for joining.
And make sure to subscribe.
So thank you for watching Cinema Sit Down. We'll see you next time.